This morning's reading is Signs of Spiritual Awakening. Throughout life, we try to reach a certain level of our existence. Although there are many methods and techniques that help us know ourselves better, no one can teach us how to find the absolute truth. There are many spiritual teachers over time who have attempted to help us understand better what the meaning of life is, why certain things happen, and how to reach that state of contentment and reconciliation. Although each person is different and each experience is unique, there are some spiritual awakening signs we have in common. Your body. Physical manifestations of illness, aches, and pains can signal where you are resisting your true self and holding on to emotions and beliefs that do not serve you. Drink lots of water. Spend more time in communion with nature. Eat fresh, raw foods to increase the circulation of life force throughout your body. Your emotions. An emotion is energy in motion. Suppressed negative emotions are brought up for healing. Let go of your self-judgment and any feelings of there being something wrong with you. Affirm that you are exactly where you need to be on your journey. Your mind. Old beliefs that are rooted in fear and limitations are brought to the surface to be cleared and replaced with empowering beliefs in resonance with your inner truth. Practice observing your emotions as they tell you what to believe to be true. When you discover a negative belief, claim your power to choose and choose a belief that you prefer to have instead. Your relationships. Relationships of all types are affected. As you begin to heal and change on the inner level of your being, your energy vibration begins to rise accordingly. You will be drawn to people of a like mind. Honor your desire and feeling for different relationships and trust that you will draw them to yourself when you are ready. Allow yourself periods of solitude and introspection. Your spiritual life. The development of intuitive abilities are very common. You may begin to ask yourself questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What is my higher purpose? What is my relationship to all of life? A spiritual awakening prompts a deeper connection to the heart. As a result, you may find yourself becoming more open and vulnerable with the influx of feelings and love and reverence for all of life. Set a specific time each day when you can connect to your deeper self and your heart on a regular basis. Listen to the guidance and inner knowing of your heart to help you stay connected to your inner being.
So spring is the season of renewal, of rebirth. And with that comes this sense of enthusiasm, a sense of joy. And I'm not really sure what it is exactly. Well, I kind of know. Hearts seem to get really inspired by the idea of that new life springing forth, coming from that barren land of winter. Spring is the time when those plants, those flowering plants, start to bloom, and this amazingly powerful act of nature takes place. It takes place and it symbolizes the revival and the renewal of life. The spring months start the season of rebirth because the earth is beginning to warm, daylight hours are increased. Next weekend, by the way. Because the axis of the earth is beginning its annual tilt toward the sun. So we're receiving more of that. And the thing we know and the thing that we trust and absolutely count on every year at this time is that Mother Nature will absolutely be again on time. We can count on that because it's been doing so since the beginning of creation. Our lives mimic nature. We too experience a time of going within, a darkness, that winter. And then that rising up as we move more into and toward the light. It's a process of dying to our old self and being born, spiritually reborn again. Easter time in particular is a perfect metaphor for that rebirthing process. It helps us to re-examine our current state of being and decide how we need or want to evolve. It's a great time for us to get motivated to change what needs to be changed, to let go of whatever it is that needs letting go of. And at this time of year, people seem to get a sudden burst of that enthusiasm, that motivation. It's almost like we're getting ready to set new intentions, kind of like in the beginning of the year. We clean our houses, we clean our closets, well, some of us do. And it's about letting go of the old and making room for the new. And that's what we've come to believe that springtime is about. I believe it's because everyone loves that idea, that concept of a fresh start, a clean slate. We tend to, at this time of the year, take a personal inventory and maybe take that opportunity to right some wrongs that maybe we feel has transpired in our life. And it's a perfect time to do that, to decide what's working in our life and to decide what it is that needs change. Jack Kornfield wrote this, he's an author. To live fully is to let go and die with each passing moment and to be reborn in each new one. They're fleeting moments, aren't they? And we always talk about being in that present moment awareness. That's a spiritual rebirthing process, dying to and letting go of each and every single moment. And we can do that every single day, all of the time, if we choose to. Not necessarily the easiest thing to do. However, we do have that opportunity and that option. Spiritual rebirth means that we have the potential, not just the potential, but the ability to reach a higher consciousness in this lifetime. Right now, while we're on this planet, to awaken to that God within and to consciously reunite with our divine source. And I say consciously because we're always united with that source, right? Sometimes we forget, sometimes we're not paying attention to it. But this is the time to consciously reunite with that source. That's what we've come here on this planet to do. Recognize that we are one with that which created us. That's not only a real possibility, I believe it's our responsibility, our divine mission to go through a spiritual rebirth of sorts. And this awakening, this rebirth, is usually accompanied by a lot of internal changes. Nathan read and shared some of those changes. I could relate to a lot of those, and hopefully you were able to connect with some of them too. In many ways, and I don't know that he mentioned this in that, people go through a period of they think they're losing their mind, right? And here's the good news. There's no real worries because the mind that we're losing is that outdated mind. The one that's filled with that old baggage in the form of beliefs, concepts, perceptions, attitudes, and emotions from our past. Those things which no longer serve us. So when you feel all shaken up, let it go. It's trying to get out. Now we've all gone through a spiritual rebirth of some sort at some point in our life. Probably the most notable spiritual rebirth for me personally, I had when I was in my late 30s. Now, I know it's hard for you to believe I'm much older than that, right? Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. But I am. I I was going through a really difficult time in my life. And what I knew was that I needed and wanted something different than I was experiencing. And so, obviously, it was, how do I do that? What do I do? I knew that I wanted to make some significant changes in my life. I wanted to change my experiences. I wanted to have that connection to God, to Source, to a higher power, to something that I could trust and believe in. I knew I wanted to start there. So, I returned to what I knew, and I went to traditional church. Now, although that didn't work out for me, it did send me consciously on a spiritual path. And that journey's been going on for 20 years. And God willing, another 20 or 40. It's those dark nights of the soul that propel us forward, that take us from the darkness into the light. And although that process of the dark night of the soul can be painful and it can create challenges in our life, it's important to remember that all great change is preceded by that time of turmoil, by that time of chaos. It's shaking things up. The old stuff has to break down and be released so we can have that space open up, ready to receive the new and the better and the awesome, which is exactly what happened for me. But we can't hold on to the old stuff if we're trying to make changes and move to the new. And this is the perfect time of year to let go of that. It's always the perfect time. Spiritual life may very well hold those changes for us. And ultimately, what we need to know is those changes are good, whether they feel good at the moment or not. Some of them are really uncomfortable. And we are called to have faith and trust in that process that we are moving through. So, let's talk about what I mean by spiritual life. Spiritual life has been defined as conscious existence in spirit while we're in this physical body. I think that's a definition we can all work with. Our knowledge of matter has become very instinctive. You see a chair, you know it's a chair. You don't think about it, right? You see a person, you know it's a person. You don't think about it. You see food. Notice I bring up food. Right? But everything that's matter and physical matter is instinctive to us. We're adults. We've grown and we know. It's not necessarily that way in our knowledge of spirit. And we want to be able to move into that place where I see a picture and I know that spirit. Or I see the chair and I know that spirit. I mean, that is my ultimate goal, is to be able to instinctively know that instead of having to think about it. We have to know who we are first. We have to believe that. We have to know it without any question in our mind. And then everything shifts. Everything changes, the way we see things. So to accomplish that rebirth, we have to train our mind to cooperate with spirit instead of resisting what's right in front of us. Now, what I want you to know is this particular talk is for me and I know it. Okay? I'm just saying. I realized that this morning. So, we also want to be bold enough and honest enough with ourselves to own our own stuff. And what does that mean? Well, that means taking responsibility for decisions we've made, for choices we've made, for what it is that's going on in our life right now. We need to take that responsibility. No guilt, no beating ourselves up. We just take responsibility and maybe make a new choice or a different choice if we don't like what we see. And Jack Kornfield gives us permission to do just that, to be reborn again each and every single moment. Why wouldn't we take advantage of that? I like that idea. What does that mean? If we've said or done something that we aren't particularly proud of, choose differently in the next moment. Choose again. Make a different decision. When our mind unwinds and becomes calmer and becomes more clear, bliss, love, happiness naturally arise in us. It's our true nature. It is absolutely who we are. And those feelings, we don't have to conjure those feelings up. They're natural. They're as natural as the light coming from the sun. That's who we are. When we are consciously aware, we won't need to focus on thinking good thoughts to feel good, because feeling good is our natural state. It's our natural state when our mind is calm and when our mind is open. Letting go and paying attention to what is always present naturally allows the divine life to have dominion over us. We absolutely do have control over how we experience life and its challenges. If you look at the chrysalis and the butterfly and what it has to overcome through struggle and the end result, right? When it breaks the cocoon, and that cocoon is built by its own saliva, just like we build our own lives, it comes out completely transformed as this incredibly beautiful butterfly. We build a cocoon. It's of flesh, matter, desires, and even our vices. And when we break our cocoon, when we let go of fear and we let go of limitation and we recognize who we are, we too come out as that beautiful butterfly with the wings of freedom. Buddhist meditation teachers suggest that observation reveals consciousness as a sequence of conscious moments rather than a continuum of awareness. Basically, that's exactly what Cornfield tells us. Moment by moment. That's what's important. Each moment is an experience of an individual mind state, like a thought, a memory, a feeling, or a perception. So here's the process. A mind state exists, it arises, then it exists, and of course it's impermanent, so it ceases, and then the next mind state arises. So the consciousness, they say, of a sentient being can be seen as a continuous series of birth and death of these mind states. That's the process of rebirth. So really, we're all going through that all of the time. Can you see that? How something comes up and we let it go and move on to the next thing, moment to moment. Gandhi said this, each night when I go to sleep, I die. And the next morning when I wake up, I am reborn. It's a beautiful way to look at it. Every day, every moment is new. We're reborn to new choices, new thoughts, new ideas. I say let's take advantage of that to create a more fulfilling life. And make that a life that we're really proud of. Like Nemo reminds us in his songs. Kindness is all we can leave behind. Let's do that through the love that we are. Allow your spiritual awakening to prompt that deeper connection to your heart. So you absolutely do indeed find yourself becoming more open and more vulnerable to that unconditional love, to that reverence for all of life. So I'm going to close this morning with an invitation for you. I would invite you to find one thing in your life that you'd like to change or maybe completely let go of. Say goodbye to it. Let it drift off. Thank it for all it's given you, all it's done for you. Be grateful for the gifts. Bless those gifts that it has given you. And make a firm decision that it no longer is a part of who you are. As you do that, you're going to find freedom in that new you. You're going to have a rebirth into a new state of consciousness. Thank you so much for being here. while I shared this truth as I understand it.